Welcome to the Bodcast, episode 4. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to go through some hypothetical client case studies and how we would go about coaching them. And this might even turn into getting real people onto the podcast, but we shall see. So we have, for our first hypothetical case study, a 19-year-old male, so your typical hard gainer, skinny, who has irregular eating habits, trains daily, plays a bit of sports, and wants to get huge. And
every teenager's dream.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I think, talking for myself and probably Leon the same,
Oh, yeah.
I think that's kind of every sort of 17, 18, 19, even a lad in his early 20s goal to get jacked because you think it's going to get you all the ladies.
Oh, yeah.
But also, you don't have the best habits.
Yeah. It's interesting how, I guess, when you're a teenager, it always starts with impressing girls. It's either sports, but even if it's for sports, it's usually there's girls you.
Yeah, you want to be good at sport to get the girls. It's like if you're naturally good growing up at school, when you're naturally good at sport, you're more likely to get girls.
Yeah.
So I think it's because of that testosterone that's raging in the teenage male. It's all about girls. That's the thing. It's all about girls.
But it's like, if you can get your training right, then you will be off to such a great start.
The highest spikes of growth hormone, high spikes of testosterone. You can put that to work for you. It's a time I wish I could take back and actually focus a bit more on my nutrition and training. Yeah. Less the training. I've always been a relatively good trainer. I'll probably pick up the intensity, but the thing that really probably needed more looking at when I was that age was nutrition.
Yeah, and just eating enough, first of all, and eating, I would say, more whole foods as well.
Yeah, because at 19, I remember the first advice I was given when I went to the gym. It's like, you want to grow big, just eat. I'm like, eat what? And the guy's like, eat everything. Whatever food you find, just eat. So
every parent will tell you when you've got teenage kids, they're always in the fridge anyway.
Yep.
It's not like teenage kids that walking around looking massive and jacked all the time, although more so nowadays. But I think the realities are, yes, eating and getting calorie surplus is important. So, it's making sure they're right calories for what you're doing.
Yeah, not just sweets. And what were you having, Andy? Cornish pasties?
So I loved the Cornish pasty about a couple of hours before playing a rugby game. 90 calories. It was all going to be put to use on the rugby field. But actually, primarily fats and carbs. Carbs have been okay, but most of them probably would have been all sloshing around, not broken down easily, horrible fats. Although delicious. I love a ginsters. But I love a pasty, but not the best performance food.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess, when you're 19, maybe you're at university, you're on a budget, you can still get, really decent food and eat in a surplus. I mean, you can just think your basics: rice, potatoes, mince. You don't even have to supplement with a protein shake. I mean, you can obviously.
One of the best tips I've heard, and sadly it was a lot once I'd grown up, had a little bit more money, was just start having things like cottage cheese or yogurts and things like that for quick protein that isn't expensive.
Yeah. I mean, you can just start. I mean, eggs are cheap.
Eggs
are cheap, as we know. Leon eats like 10 trays a day, but you can get a lot of protein from that. You can have a giant egg omelet in the morning with some oats. That's not expensive. Your fats, you can have peanut butter, your olive oil. You can go for fattier cuts of some meat. Again, avocado, none of that's going to break the bank. Legumes.
Yeah, I would say if you're on a budget, you can go for cheaper options, but look for things on sale, especially in places like the UK. If you go late at night to one of the supermarkets, and I know when I was younger, one of my favorite things to do was go at midnight to somewhere like a 24-hour Asda.
Yeah.
And you do find stuff on sale. And yeah, you'll see like the meat section, like, you know, the meat that's about a turn, but you can whack it in your freezer or whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's such a good, when we were in the UK, we did that too. And I mean, and again, here you can go to City Market, or everyone has their contacts. And again, you can, if you do well with beans, you can mix the beans in there. You know, there are plenty of budget options where you can get in good nutrients. And yeah,
One of the better things to do is buy, if you've got some money or you've got access to a mincer, buy cheap cuts of meat. It doesn't have to be prime beef, but get the cheaper cuts. It could be something like flank, neck, and then just mince it yourself. You know, you can remove excess fats, mince it yourself. And it works out cheaper than buying a pack of beef mince.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, good tip.
With some yogurt, cottage cheese.
Cottage cheese is so expensive here, though.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
I don't buy it in Kenya, but I buy it in the UK where it's like cheap. It's like £1 for.
Oh, that's so sad. Here, if you get the Browns one, like just
Yeah, that's it. It's, yeah, you can't limit it to
500 shilling, and then
you're limited what you can get here.
the cheaper one is what, still 300 bob, and it's just not very well. I don't particularly like it, so sadly, but you get great yogurt here.
Yes, I say yogurt's a good option.
So good. I mean, what did you eat in your football days? I know you.
Oh man, I ate. Well, football days was simple because I used to go to the gym, I used to jog, train football. So I needed to eat a lot. My dad used to complain that I was eating too much anyway. So mine was eggs. Like I remember eggs, bread. That was like a sandwich, easy morning sandwich with maybe tea.
Yeah, and that's good.
And then
Scrambled egg and toast, easy.
yeah,
Scrambled egg and toast, easy.
and then post workout, I'd have the Tetra Pak, you know, the triangle milk packet.
Yeah.
Daily one, maybe that's why I can't even have milk now, because I had too much. Because I used to do it daily. That was like my whey protein.
Well, milk is great. If you are not lactose intolerant and you can drink dairy, milk is fantastic.
And then
But lots of lactose. You're better off with goat milk.
yeah,
goat. It's so goaty though.
Yeah.
No, you can get some if you get really good goat milk. Like I get some from a farm up here, and I give it to the pup at the moment. Some egg.
Yeah.
It's not very goaty at all.
Okay.
But it depends on what diet the goat's been fed. So some of the goat milk you can get, I don't like to think what the goat's been eating because it does taste. But you got to remember with goat milk, it's got a higher fat content than cow milk.
Yeah.
About 4% fat.
I don't know where to.
You can get goat milk. I think the main one here is called Togs.
Togs is a big commercial one. There's camel milk as well. It's a good option.
It is, but again, that's quite hard to find. And remember, Matt used to have the little camel milk fridge.
Yeah, I tried.
And then now and then it comes in, but it's still more expensive.
You've got to get to Eastleigh.
I know.
In the Somali communities, they love their camel milk.
One time I tried it, and it's not my. I couldn't.
No.
I guess it needs you to get used to it, and I was like, okay, I'll eat, I guess, functionally and just drink it down and not taste it, but I never bought it.
Because it's supposed to be very good for you. But if you're good with normal cow's milk, you're such a whole milk, you need to go for all the skim stuff.
But it's crazy because then the Tetra Pak of milk was cheap. Was it like 18 or 21 shillings? I don't know what it is now, but with like 50 to 100 bob?
40, 50? Anyway.
Yeah, because with 50 to 100 bob, I could sort of buy extra stuff for myself and then use that as a supplement to what I eat at home. Now I don't know what you can buy with 50 to 100 bob.
But you can still you can still get in good food and not spend all your money. Don't spend all your money on supplements first. I think that's what a lot of young guys do. well, I don't know. I don't speak from experience, but I know many have talked to me. They're like, oh, what supplement do I get? I'm like, well, let's rewind. Let's actually look at what
are
you
you
eat
eating?
first, and then if you've got any money left over, then maybe go for your whey
Yeah, I
protein.
suppose that's the biggest lesson for younger people in general is don't run before you can walk. Get the basics, those foundations in place. Don't worry about supplementation until you know your diet is decent enough to then you're adding supplementation just to take it that next step higher. But you need to just get those basics in front. And one thing young guys and girls probably fail to realize is sleep and recovery, and we were all there. You go out on a Friday, Saturday night. Oh, I never went out on Friday because I was playing rugby on Saturday. But Saturday night, I would go out, drink loads, and then your Sunday, you're eating all rubbish.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation with a good friend of mine the other day who's decided he's going to stop drinking at home, and he's someone who used to drink a lot at home. And I was saying, you drink equivalent of your daily calories every night in alcohol and eat on top of that. And that's why you put on weight. Because he eats healthy, and he was like, oh yeah, I eat up healthy food. And then it's like, but as soon as he cut the alcohol out, I lost weight. And I think I'm not saying people shouldn't enjoy themselves, but bear in mind that, alcohol is calories, 7 calories per gram, but they're empty calories. They won't age you can track them and you'll be in a surplus, but actually it's not a real surplus because they don't really.
No, and then like you said, your rest and recovery, that's going to impact it big time.
But I guess at 19, it's very hard because I remember my dad telling me this all the time. It's like, you go out, you're not going to play the game. But there's those weekends, maybe hit the gym 2 weeks, there's a small bicep pump and you're like, I have to, call for the girls, you need to go out. So at 19, if you can focus on sleep and recovery, that's amazing.
Yeah, you don't have to be a monk, but it's just if you are serious about training and your goals, then that is a huge factor.
Yeah, it's
sadly.
something, even when you go out at 19, it's just something, keep in the back of your head that.
As I was going to say, it's worth keeping it in mind, knowing it's okay if throughout the week your recovery is on point.
Yeah.
One day may be fine. One day of drinking won't change too much. But, you've just got to bear that in mind as you're planning your week. If you're planning a week and you're going out the weekend, plan around the weekend.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and then in terms of training, I mean, if you're young and playing sport anyway, you want your weight training in the gym to, if you're serious about sports, to complement it. Yeah. And then, again, you don't need to go straight into a full-on bro split. We've talked about this a lot. You'll benefit a lot just from really mastering the basic moves, working a lot on form. You don't need to do an arm day as much as you want to.
Every day is arm day.
Full body workouts, just really nailing technique will lay such a great foundation.
Yeah, I think, you're right when you hit the nail on the head with, if you're serious about the sport you're playing and want your training needs to aid that. So think about the movements that are going to aid your sport. If the sport's not important, it's just like almost a form of cardio, you're messing around with your friends, then, you're better off sort of focusing on that bodybuilding style and, try to get some sort of gains out of it. But, if your sport is your primary, think about what your actual sport is, think about what the core movements are and train around those and have those as your core movements in your program.
Yeah.
Yep, and keep in mind that muscle building is a long and slow process.
Yeah.
And again, as we've said that, especially now with social media and, I think we were talking about last week, Andy, how so many people, young guys were asking you about, starting to take drugs and things like that. So yeah, it's a long road if you're going natural. And at that age, that's what you should be doing.
Exactly. Make the most out of your natural hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it's crazy at, say, 19. I remember I could play football, go to the gym, go out on a Friday, still wake up, go play more sports on a Saturday, and your recovery is just way, way high. So
Yeah.
before you can even start thinking of, drugs and supplements, just correct the small stuff, your sleep, your maybe going out, even if you can plan your training around that, and you'll find you'll make way more out of training before you even start using any sort of supplements.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Client number 2. We have a 25-year-old female, small but not particularly lean, who's been yo-yo dieting for what seems her whole life, eats very low calories, sort of 1,200, 1,000 calories a day, daily cardio, scared of lifting weights because she'll look bulky, so does sort of low weight, high rep kind of training, wants to generally tone and be stronger. Well, this describes a lot of people.
So this is a very common one, and I'm sure
It is,
Yeah.
but it really is, and I don't think it can ever be stressed enough how many women are stuck in that cycle of yo-yo dieting. And at least now, the message of weights are not going to make you bulky is out there. But I think even though that is out there, a lot of women are still scared of lifting heavy weights, and to be stuck in that yo-yo dieting trap it's horrible. It's pretty depressing, and forever eating chronically low calories, and you just it's like the hamster on the wheel, and you never get anywhere.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where women were told for a long time it's all about weight loss, but the reality is it's weight loss. Okay.
You broke up a bit there,
Well, I
and
was gonna say, it's bigger than weight loss. It's not just about that scale weight, and I think that's a problem.
Yeah.
Is too many people have been married to a scale weight.
yeah, exactly. And as I get quite a lot of clients coming to me with this, and often you've just got to kind of, what feels to them is take 2 steps backwards to go forward. So you've got to bring your calories up first, because there's no way you can go into a calorie deficit from 1,000 or 1,200 calories, even 1,500. If someone came to me and they're eating 1,500, I wouldn't put them in a deficit. You need to spend time. Your metabolism is not broken. That's not a thing. But it is low from chronically dieting and yo-yo dieting. It's become very low. Your body's become so efficient at using the calories that you've fed it, that those are your maintenance calories. As low as that is, your body's gotten used to it. So you've got to spend time bringing those calories up. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to put on a heap of fat. You might actually experience some, decent body composition change, especially if you change your training.
Yeah, lessen the
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, that's the thing, isn't it? And I'm sure that's what Leon's going to say. Start teaching someone to lift with intensity, they can have more calories.
Yeah, lessen the cardio, and try just get the high reps of for toning mindset out of the person, because I'm sure a lot of ladies, it's like you said, they believe it's high cardio. Then after your 1 hour cardio, get your little pink weights and do your 3,000 reps. That's it. So
I think with a client like that, you've got to be careful you don't throw too much in too early.
Yes.
I think you start ease down the cardio. So you bring the cardio down, calories up. You start making sure they're lifting with intensity. And a lot of these clients could do with some one-to-one coaching, not just online, or at least watching some videos of kind of what's required. But the fact is, those calories going up, if that's matched with the intensity going up, we should see some good body changes, composition changes. the thing you don't want, because it's become such a habit with cardio, is if you drop it out all of a sudden, it's almost a bit cold turkey and snap. And you got to try and make it sort of sustainable for them, what they can keep to. So you just slowly edge it out. And if they want to keep a little bit of cardio in a couple of times a week, great. You just make sure the calories correspond to that.
Yeah, I think that's really important because it's so much of that is psychological and about control, and you don't want the person to feel completely out of control, and that is scary, and eating higher calories is scary because you just think if you stop doing cardio, if you start to increase your calories, you are going to get fat. And it's just not true, but you do need to do it slowly, like increase calories. Well, it will depend from person to person, but generally increase the calories relatively slowly and decrease the cardio relatively slowly. And just to show them that they still have that control. And I do know how hard it can be. When you think you're working so hard to keep that fat off and someone's now telling you to eat more food and do less cardio, you're thinking,
The thing is, psychologically, you've been taught because of yo-yo dieting, you lose weight. As soon as you start eating more, your weight goes back up. So they assume it's just from eating more, not looking at what you're eating, how your training is going, and making sure your nutrition and training are in sync with each other.
Yeah, and it's like maintenance calories they're a great place to be. And working up to them is a great place to be, and I think we can lose sight of that sometimes, especially if you follow bodybuilders or people like that, they're generally cutting or in a surplus, and you're kind of thinking, well, I should be doing one of those. But to work towards your maintenance is a great goal in itself, and especially if you have been yo-yo dieting. And again, tracking macros is just a very efficient way to try and to work all this out, because if you're saying you're eating 1,000 calories, that might not be true. So that's what you think you're eating. So you've got to work on a sustainable way for you to get out of that, but not get to, if you're someone who does get too sort of obsessed with counting calories and things like that, then there are other ways, but it is
And I was gonna say, it's not just about body composition. If you can get your nutrition to a good spot, things like skin and hair quality increases. And I've seen it with yo-yo dieters. Their skin starts to suffer, their hair starts to suffer, their sleep and everything else starts to suffer because their calories are so low and they're trying to increase the output, but something's got to give in the body, and you get sort of the whole body starts trying to save energy elsewhere and stealing fats from the hair and from the skin.
And for such a person, I'd also have to remind them it's going to take time to just get out of that mindset. It's not like a 6-12 week thing. So remember, it's a step-by-step sort of approach. So
especially if you're bringing up calories, you can do it very slowly. So I mean, I would definitely, this would be even a 6-month process.
And
then hanging out at those maintenance calories and working on strength.
Because I just remembered you said they wanted to get stronger, so strength training will be perfect as you work on that slowly.
That's the thing. Just a normal hypertrophy sort of training, you're gonna get stronger initially anyway.
You're
gonna see the strength increases just by actually eating more.
True.
And then we've said this, concentrate on more performance rather than aesthetic goals. Really set some exciting
Exactly. I think if someone's been so focused on scale weight for so long, as a coach, just say, we're not going to do scale weight. We're not going to look at scales. Take the batteries out of your scales you got. Ignore this being. Let's just focus on other things. And as you said, performance goals. Initially, and then you can see where you are maybe after a couple of months. Maybe it's a case of doing measurements instead. Before after photos help, rather than looking at scale weight every day or weekly.
Yeah. And just a sort of side note, I know for everyone listening, you might not be exactly who we're describing, but you'll definitely recognize elements of what we're saying in your health and fitness journey. So hopefully you can take away a bit of useful info from this, because I think most women at some point will have tried this diet, that diet. I would say so many have done yo-yo dieting.
A lot of guys nowadays,
Yeah. No, that's I think that's so true as well. And
yeah, because I guess a big fear is the women are scared of getting bulky, and they assume weights and higher calories will get them bulky. So this is just a reminder that it will not.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay, case study number 3. Okay, we're gonna look at a man now in his 40s, and he is pretty much wanting to look and train like his 25-year-old self. So he's got some injuries over the years, bit of a meathead.
Sounds like me.
Wants to lose fat and build muscle at the same time. And he's maybe watched one too many YouTubes on how to achieve that. Well, I must say I have had a couple of men like that who, well, not just men, but I would say people who want to train how they used to train and want to look how they used to look. And I mean, not that that's a bad thing, but you've just got to think, is it realistic?
Especially
looks-wise, you can, I suppose. Look-wise, there's nothing to stop you from being in the best shape at any age. But the issue is, it depends how you looked when you were 25. If you were like 25 and were like shredded, it gets harder as you get older. But you can't train how you used to train. You can't be as reckless. And I always say this, as you get older, you get more responsibilities and you get more on your plate and take balancing. Often you have children. You can't be as selfish with your time. So you've got to weigh these things up and understand that, great, you want to spend a bit of time in the gym, but you also don't let it be at the cost of everything else in your life. As in, you've got to do your job. You've got to pay the bills. You've got to look after your family. And these will always be priorities. It's not, unless fitness is your profession, it shouldn't be your number one focus. And everything else, and fitness should fit into your life, not make your life fit into fitness.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. I think that's so true, because a lot of people put so much pressure on themselves, and you're like, you've got a family, you like you say, Andy, you've got so many more responsibilities now, and you can't compare it to, so Leon and I don't have kids. Our job is fitness. It's so much easier for us to, fit in a 2-hour workout. Not that we do 2-hour workouts, but you know what I mean. So it's, the comparison there is not a good thing.
And I think that's the thing with people watching, Instagram and YouTube, and we see all these fitness influencers like training, and their whole day set up around what they're eating.
Food and training,
And reality is they have other responsibilities. That is their job.
Yeah.
And their responsibilities are to do that. You've got to understand that. It doesn't mean you can't be in the best shape of your life. You've just got to be good at scheduling.
Yep.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to have that time every day, but you probably have to stick to quite a rigid timetable, right? And finger frozen, broken. Back. I think you've just got to, understand that there's going to be certain sacrifices, but your family shouldn't have to sacrifice just for you to hit your goal.
Yeah.
So, and I've done this, I've had to throw birthday parties for Kaya. handing out cakes when you're in, your prep and you can't touch them.
Yeah, I remember that.
I do it all the time. Like I make pizzas with the girls, knowing I'm not going to eat any.
Yeah.
But that's okay because my choices aren't their choices. I've chosen to compete on stage. They haven't, so they shouldn't have to suffer because of that. So, they will have a normal childhood with, trying to bear that, a little bit of health in mind generally. But, you've got to, your kids have to be kids, and you're not like, oh, I'm not going to have any sweets in the house, or we're not going to have cakes, or, it's just unrealistic. So you've got to be quite strong-willed when you've got more responsibilities, and strong-willed in, I am going to train at this time every day. It may mean you have to get up earlier, and go to bed earlier because you need to fill it in with your day. Like I train normally during the week, first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten, but I eat just before I go to bed because it doesn't interfere with my sleep. So I know when I wake up, I've got glycogen stores are in place. I have a pre-workout with some carbs in it. I have my intra-workout with carbs in it. Knowing full well that means I can train first thing. Weekends, slightly different. I train after 2 meals. But you have to work out how you can do your job, look after your family, and train all together without sacrificing one or the other. And for me, that's getting up a little bit earlier, training first thing, being able to shower, eat, and start work.
Yeah, and I think it's possible.
I guess first advice for the 40-year-old guys: check your schedule and just don't sacrifice your family for your 25-year-old goals.
And then
exactly.
And if you have injuries, your training is going to be different. That's a big one. You're not going to be you just have to train smart. You can still get amazing results. And Andy, you've got multiple injuries.
And I talk about it quite a lot in this conversation with Ollie and stuff. Sometimes you have to adjust your program around injuries. But it's about being realistic with what's going to work, what's not. And to be fair, if you're not in the know, making sure you do have a coach, because and then being honest with them, saying I've got tore this muscle at some point, I've had bad knees or I get back pain, and then trying to work out how to train around that. Or first thing I would do, actually, I would say to someone, go to a physio, get a movement mobility assessment, get something written by a physio of what exercises you should probably avoid and which ones you should do to strengthen, and they should form a big part of your program, because you want to try and help the injuries you've got, but you don't want to make them worse. So if you can get like a physio on board early, or that's what I would ask a client to do. Get a diagnosis of the actual injuries, because a lot of people just thought, I've got a bad back, or I've got a bad knee. Like, have you spoke to anyone about it? No, it's just I've always had it for ages. Like, right, but you might have been able to get it sorted. First things first, go speak to a doctor, go get an MRI, go be whatever. Just get a diagnosis. If it is just like a twinge, the physio can help you deal with that, and we can incorporate that into training.
Yeah, I think that's such a great place to start. And then, as with many people, the goal is to build fat and lose muscle at the same time. But that is very difficult. So it's best to choose one or the other. And YouTube is a great place. But, nothing beats, working with professionals, and work with many professionals. Have your personal trainer, have your physio. If your personal trainer is not a nutritionist, have a nutritionist as well. The more people on your team, the better.
That's the other thing. When you get a little bit older, you have a little bit more disposable income. So you can afford to start doing things properly, rather than when you're young and you waste all the good years because you don't have any money to
hire a coach.
Properly, as we were saying earlier. So when you are older, as you said, speak to a nutritionist, speak to a physio, go get your bloods taken to make sure there's no underlying issues.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's very sound advice.
The other thing is, I don't know if I'm frozen.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, so I was going to say the other thing is you start looking at the quality of food you're consuming, if you can, and try and get when someone comes to me, the first thing I say is write down let's just track your week as is without me doing anything.
Yeah.
I want you to write down every meal you have at what times. And then what usually comes back is various times, people eating at all different times every other day, and quality of food's up and down. So first thing you do is say, right, let's try and standardize our eating. Let's try and eat when we can, but try and keep it to a set time or set window. And let's try and keep the quality of the food constant. Prep your food. I know it's hard and you're busy on weekends, but maybe when the kids go to bed, spend a couple of hours on a Sunday evening prepping food.
Oh yeah, is that the puppy?
That's Honey looking for a puppy.
Oh,
Puppy, I think, has gone under the sofa.
Yeah, we just saw a pass.
Well, for those listening who can't see, Andy has the cutest puppy.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So our new podcast
cute.
mascot.
Yeah, but you haven't seen. She's been just attacking me as I've been talking. At one point, you see her to get up to walk away. She pulled
Oh,
off.
is that why you got up?
Pulled the router off the shelf by the cable. I was like, oh.
She's so cute. So cute. I like your point about meal prepping, and because I always say that to my clients, like your planning and your prepping for food is going to be key. And it seems so much at first, but honestly, just taking that hour, like when the kids have gone to bed, and planning the meals, preparing some meals in bulk, it just sets you up for success, and it just makes your life so much easier. If you are busy,
you're able to stick to the time windows or specific times of eating.
Exactly, and it's trying to give yourself time. Because you have less time when you've got so many other things going on. So you need to be efficient.
Yeah. And I think on the point of having a bit more disposable income, you can always look at meal prep companies. There's some really good ones, and they're not going to break the bank. And it can be, if you're not used to tracking your calories and macros yet, it can be quite you can start with that if you want, and then make one meal yourself, 2 from the meal prep company. There are so many ways to hit your goals.
Yep, even at 40.
Well, the thing is, at 40, and I always say this, people start thinking they're over the hill and slightly think, it's too late to start something. But it's not, to be fair.
Nope.
You still, even at 40, you've got as much time ahead of you, and actually more training years ahead of you than behind you.
Yeah.
I think most people don't start training until late teens, so that's that's like 20 odd years before, whatever it is. You could still be in the best shape going through up to your 50s and 60s.
Yeah, it's one. I think it's also a mindset. A lot of people.
Yes.
Well, maybe society just needs to break from that, because it's like, oh, I'm 50, man. I can't do that stuff, or
There's certain health things that you need to watch when you get older. Apart from the injuries, you do have to watch your heart. That's why your heart condition, if you've not been training, you've not been exercising, blood glucose. That's why it's worth doing tests on these things, blood pressure, all these little things. But once you start and you've tested all that and you're in a healthy state, you can just go great guns and be healthier and healthier. Just keep an eye on it. There's nothing to say you can't be. And there's certain things you'll want to check. Blood glucose being one, but it's a good time to start.
Yeah.
It's a great time to start because health-wise tends to go downhill as you get older. 40 still, you should be healthy-ish at 40. So that's a good time to get a grip of your health and move it forward.
Yeah, and it's like you said, I think if there's any 40 plus listening to this, your blood work is very, very important. It's something, especially if you've not been active, it's good to just check and know where you're at, because if you've not been active all those your younger years, it tends to catch up to you. So blood work would be a nice place to start.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that's a great way to measure your progress as well. Like, do your blood work before you start training, and then, you know, as you train, you can see it. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
doctors have mentioned to clients, like, you know, wow, you know, look at your blood work now after you've done some consistent training.
Yeah,
So
true.
it's really good. Well, I think that leads us nicely into our last client, who is a postmenopausal woman who wants to lose fat and is blaming her fat gain on menopause, and that she's just, you know, tried everything, you know, does cardio, does some weightlifting, you know, says she eats right, but, you know, it's due to the hormones that she can't lose fat. And so
Well, yeah. The thing is, yeah, the hormones will play a part, but they're not. They can't stop you from losing weight. Like, otherwise, people wouldn't ever starve to death. You could stick a postmenopausal person on an island with no food, and they will still starve to death.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. I mean,
So
True.
that's the reality. Is you will lose weight. You will lose weight, and there's nothing to stop you. If you're in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight.
Yeah.
Now, body composition may be affected by hormone estrogen changes, progesterone changes, but, you know, fat loss, the basics of energy balance supersede all that.
they ain't changing with your age.
Yeah, of course.
No, you know, certain things, people have got into bad habits as they get older, and often they think they're eating healthy and they're not really. A lot of, especially women, and I know my mum's key for this, like, she'll eat really low fat foods all week, relatively low protein, and then maybe she'll have, like, on a Sunday a bit of cake or something dessert. But the fact is, you want to keep your protein high. You need to have your fats relatively at a constant, decent level. Your omega fats, your good fats, because they're helping with hormone production and everything else. Protein you need for, you know, regeneration. But people think they should just be like crushing all their calories, barely eating during the week. But then at the weekend, they'll have like a full massive roast dinner they're not used to, or
Wine.
wine.
But but you know, it's easier to blame, you know, hormones, because
Of
it's
course,
hormones than to
they're
blame
the
your
ultimate scapegoat.
than to blame your weekly
lifestyle.
bottle of wine, or your life.
Yeah, and often, you know, you just, you know, you won't move as much as you used to move. Maybe when you were younger, your neat, and all of that kind of thing. And
Your
I think
intensity in your training as well. Like, even if you were like the fittest 20-year-old, you've been really fit in your 20s. If you don't carry it through to, like, keep that consistency high, when you get older, you know, and you start bringing intensity down, you know, you will crash down, you know, because you suddenly don't have any intensity. You're not moving as much.
Yeah.
You do my, the old ladies power walking.
Yeah.
And we think that can't, you know, but we sit around the rest of it.
But yeah, also what I noticed, a lot of people, I guess when they get older, it's you don't move much, but you keep on eating the same, if not even more. So you stop training, you know, you stop moving a lot, but you're still consuming so much. Because I remember it was a problem with one client. It used to be very sporty, same. Then stopped, and then it's like, man, I eat the same. I'm just getting bigger. I used to eat like this when I was younger, but I was never big. So it's like you're saying, your activity levels really play a big part.
And here's the thing: women in my family, like my mum's mum, are all quite healthy and fit women generally, you know. And I think one of the reasons that is dog ownership. I mean, it's not even a joke, because it keeps you having to get out, walk the dog in the evening, keep moving. As you get older, that doesn't change. If you still got a dog, you go out, walk the dog. It keeps you moving rather than these people go do an hour's power walk around the block, but the rest of the day we're sitting down.
Yeah, the
We've gone
dog
from chasing kids around or having a job
Yeah.
or doing whatever to spending most of the time sitting around chatting with friends, then going for a walk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the dog gives you a good routine, morning and evening.
It does. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, think they're eating healthy, but you've got to be pretty honest with yourself. And, and you're saying, write everything down, like what you eat. And I know a lot of women will just really try not to eat anything, and that's not good either. And then, you'll drink a lot of wine in the evening or something like that. Or
Wine and
I think,
salad.
again, as you get older, you actually need more protein. So getting in protein every single meal will be really important, and just keeping that consistent and not being scared to weight train. It's not bad for you when you're older. In fact, it's great. And for women, it helps with bone density and all of that good stuff. So it's, if you're scared and, to do weight training when you're sort of over 50, that's fine, but get a personal trainer to show you, because it will be so beneficial and way better for you than sort of even like jogging around the block, which will put a lot of stress on your joints. So, consistent weightlifting, getting in enough protein, and understanding energy balance, you can.
Yeah, exactly. Get a qualified trainer, and go from there. Yeah, you got to think it's a bit like we said with the guy. Go speak to a doctor first. Go get your bloods done, check your cholesterol levels and everything else. Get a clean bill of health. Or if not, you've got something to work on health-wise. You decide, go speak to a nutritionist. Make sure your nutrition's on point. Then training falls in line. Yeah, there's no point blaming hormones if your nutrition isn't on point. And it may be that you do have some thyroid issue, maybe, but they'll be picked up in a blood test.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact is, unless got your nutrition done first, you go see a nutritionist, start eating properly, then have your bloods taken again, then you really know where you are. First time things may be dietary, but once you've been eating healthy for a few weeks, then you can look and go, actually, everything's looking pretty decent now. There's no reason I shouldn't be, losing weight. I should just up my training a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think that's key. Definitely, get all that blood work done, and again, just work with professionals. Have a team on your side, and there are some, you again as a woman, it will be hard for you to build muscle in your 50s, but you can. You can, and like the guy in his 40s, you can still be in the best shape. It's just having a smart plan in place to work for it.
Again, know your limitations, don't injure yourself, get a proper trainer.
Exactly. Well, those are our 4 case studies for today. If you like this style of podcast, let us know, and we are thinking about getting real people real people on here that we can maybe go through their training and lifestyle and nutrition. So let us know if that's something that you would listen to. Was that the puppy?
Yeah. Barking at a mum.
It's helping you sign out.
Yeah, she's signing out for you. So yes, we really hope that you enjoyed this podcast, and we'll see you next week.